Welcome back to another video, and here we have the long awaited hero tier list. Now, I did this a while ago, but we're going to update it. Now, they have added more heroes since I last did this, so that's obviously going to be added on top of it. Also, we'll try and get this all done in one part, but there's quite a few heroes nowadays. I think it's something like 14 or so. So, we'll see if we can get it done in a video, but if not, might have to be a part 1 and part 2. I don't want to make them too long. So we're going to start in this order. It's not the order that the game has, but it's the order that these came in. So all the way through, we're going from a Zyli all the way to Geraldo. So starting with a Zyli is actually a very good one. A Zyli is smack bong dab in the middle. A Zyli's a C for me. Now, very good against Moabs. All types of Moabs, to be fair. Lead and camo damage over time. But falls off at the fact that the damage over time is lacking compared to some of the other heroes. And hitting both lead and camo isn't even that rare in heroes anymore. It was quite rare, I feel like, for a time, but now it's basically a standard. So I'm going to have to put a Zyli in C, because although a lot of damage to Moabs and regular balloons, not quite enough for just being a straight damage doer. Obviously a few abilities that do other things, but they're mainly around doing damage. The abilities aren't great, to be fair, but that's why Zyli is in C. Now moving up to a different part of the tier list, we're going for A. For Captain Churchill. Now, why is Churchill an A? Churchill does a significant amount of damage. Now, Adora does a lot of damage. We'll get to Adora later. Adora is a damage doer, a doer of damage. But Captain Churchill is a damage doer, can hit leads and camos. Like I said, basically a standard. But leads and camos, obviously it has to level up to get to the camos, so technically, but you should really get there by level 24, so I basically count it as lead and camos. Amazing damage against ceramics, like very good damage against ceramics. The abilities are also very effective, and one of the towers that can one tower very good for 2 tower chimps. I don't think it can 1 tower chimps. I'm not actually 100% sure about that. Don't quote me on anything about that, but I know it is very useful for 2 tower chimps, and that is going to be why it sits in A. So on to Benjamin. Benjamin's an Esther. Benjamin's only drawback is chimps. Now that might sound like a major drawback, but because of all the boss events they've added in recently, Benjamin has just become so much more useful. If you're going to do farming and you have every hero, you just get Benjamin because it makes the start of the farming so much quicker. So for that reason, I purely have to say Benjamin is an S tier. You can argue that you can farm without Benjamin, and then if you don't farm with Benjamin, you can use a different hero to do a lot of damage. But most likely you're going to use Benjamin, and for that reason, Benjamin has to be in an S tier for just the pure ability on every single different map and level, especially in co-op. Our next S tier, right next to it, is Obin. Now, people know my love for Obin. Obin is an amazing, balanced hero. Doesn't hit camos, so it's just a lead damage doer, but can solo quite a few rounds. Can hit the round 24 camo if you use the ability, the brambles, at the right time. On top of that, Obin is just absolutely solid when it comes to personal damage, along with the tree, but even better with allowing druids and other magic monkeys to do extra damage, but mainly druids to do extra damage with extra range. One of the most famous chimp strategies, and for that reason I think there's no other place to put Obin but an ass. Gwendolyn is worse than a Zyli for me. We're going to try and spread this out, by the way. If I put a tower D, it doesn't mean it's trash. It just means I'm spreading it out. Like an F to an S. You know, we got 7 stages. Don't look at it as D. Look at it as just below middle. Because I know there's a lot of Gwendolyn fans, but I'm not a fan. Yes, it buffs other towers and allows them to do lead popping. Pretty sure it allows them to do lead popping, but has the flame effects on towers. It just doesn't do that much damage. Its abilities are mediocre. Doesn't do that much damage. Levels up quickly. That's one thing I have to give it. But for the amount of for the other heroes, it's just worse than them. A Zyli at least has a use case where I'd pick a Zyli over other towers. Gwendolyn doesn't have that. Gwendolyn is getting picked below every other tower, and that is factual, actual, spectral. And for that reason, we're going with a D. Enough said. Pat Frosty. We love Pat Frosty. However, we do not love Pat Frosty that much over in this corner. Pat Frosty is very good. Pat Frosty is buffs other towers. Pat Frosty can sit in water. Pat Frosty hits leads. Don't think Pat Frosty hits camos. I can't be sure off the top of my head. Pat Frosty or Fat Pusty, whatever you want to call Pat, is a fan favourite. I have to give it something for being a fan favourite. You know, it's a big W. There's a lot of fans, and to be the favourite, I'll give it to Pat. But the damage is lacking. Its Moab damage is very good. Its buffs also very good. However, its regular damage, bit mediocre and a bit lacking. So basically, in my eyes, the same as a Zyli. Pretty much, I put them next to each other. Now, I would move them both up to B, but like I said, they are mid. Now, some people would say B is mid. I'd say B is mid is a letter, but we're going from S to F, dead in the middle, Pat Frosty. Now my baby Quincy, actually going one above Zyli and Pat. Quincy going one up against Quincy and a Zyli. Let me just start that again. What did I just say? Quincy one above a Zyli and Pat Frosty. I use a Zyli in every single Impossible Chimps tutorial so far. And the main reason is, you get a Zyli instantly. I mean, you get Quincy instantly. It's one of the first heroes you get. Does plenty of damage, does camo damage once it levels up, does lead damage technically once it levels up. I wouldn't trust it. A lot of DPS to towers, a lot of DPS to boons, I mean. It does level up to do quite a lot of Moab damage, not that much, but its level ups do allow it to do Moab damage. So it's not an amazing tower, but because it's so simple and so cheap, and you can get it as soon as you spawn in, even without the knowledge, I think I'd put a Zyli in a B and I'd be happy with it. I think it's a very basic tower to use, a very simple tower to use, and does exactly what you think it would do. I think it's one of the most perfect towers, most perfect heroes in the game, because it's the first one you get and it's literally the bog standard. And that is why it's in B. I didn't realise at the time how long this take, but it's going to go into 2 parts. So this is my unofficial voiced over outro. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and peace.